unidentified flying objects have been appearing in Earth's skies for thousands of years.
Depictions of flying saucers and what seems to be some kind of ancient spacecraft go back to some of the earliest cave paintings that we know of. Scientists date these cave paintings back to 30,000 BC. And these cave paintings are in Russia, China, Africa, and South America, and other areas.
Halfway around the world, in 329 BC, the Greek ruler Alexander the Great planned the invasion of India. But according to ancient texts, his army was supposedly thwarted by a strange attack from the skies.
And the fact is, there have been so many descriptions by various chroniclers talking about a strange cloud in the sky that glowed red.
Columbus, in his first voyage, he noted in the log a glowing object rise out of the water and head off into the atmosphere.
April 14th, 1561. At dawn, the citizens of Nuremberg awoke to what was described in a local news flyer as a very frightful spectacle. Various strange objects were spotted in the sky, engaged in what appeared to be an aerial battle.
The Zurich Central Library to this day retains a copy not only of the famous woodcut that shows the 1561 sighting over Nuremberg, but also a 1566 woodcut showing a sighting from that year that was quite similar in Basel, Switzerland.
The images that you are seeing, like this one, the next mission, STS-127, by Shuttle Endeavour, well, all these images are broadcast by NASA on their own satellite. Sometimes they change movement, like this one. This is very interesting. You can see like it's like rotating, has some kind of appendices or something. Well, every sighting or every image where these objects appear show different features.
This was videotaped by the police in Slovakia. It's interesting because now the fleet phenomenon is all around the world.
You know, this sighting, we are very disconcerted by this thing in the sky.
What is this?
We don't know how to call it. Just watch carefully, and it's morphing itself. What can it be? These are the kind of sightings that we are having now in Mexico.
There is a legend. Quetzalcoatl is the divine serpent, is the god. The serpent that can fly. The bird serpent. The colorful serpent. Is that a legend or has some reality behind? This first one is from 2007, and I present this because you can clearly see how this thing, whatever it is, changes colors. It's the same object, but now has different colors.
Now this is another one.
This is from November the 8th, 2009.
This is interesting. This video is interesting. You can see the small orb?
Where you can see the movements of the objects or organisms or whatever they are. Again, we have a fleet after the presence of the object, like it releases all the spheres. The legend says that Quetzalcoatl, the divine serpent, would come back to claim its kingdom. And that would happen before the end of time, the beginning of the new era. Again, we are close to 2012, and it's amazing how these sightings have increased.
Scholars with no religious affiliation who have looked into this topic of UFOs and ETs for several decades have come to very interesting conclusions. Jack Vallée, a venture capitalist, computer scientist, author, ufologist, and former astronomer who helped build the precursor to what we know as the Internet, has studied the UFO phenomenon for over 3 decades. After looking into the relationship between UFOs, cults, religious movements, demons, angels, ghosts, and psychic phenomenon, Vallée changed his proposed hypothesis from the UFO phenomenon being an extraterrestrial origin, in other words, craft and beings from another planet or a faraway galaxy, to a multidimensional visitation hypothesis, or interdimensional. In his book, Messengers of Deception, Vallée states, quote, "Human beings are under the control of a strange force that bends them in absurd ways, forcing them to play a role in a bizarre game of deception," end quote. Later in the same book, he states, quote, "The UFO phenomenon represents a manifestation of a reality that transcends our current understanding of physics. The UFOs are physical manifestations that cannot be understood apart from their psychic and symbolic reality. What we see in effect here is not an alien invasion, it is a control system which acts on humans and uses humans."
The chief advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, Sir John Dee, he was a Kabbalistic black magician. He had gone to the continent and learned from the top Jewish Kabbalists black magic, and he was the chief advisor in the British Empire, and he created Enochian magic and the Enochian language, which the Illuminati, which are hiding behind the Jehovah's Witness headquarters, they use Enochian rituals. Sir John Dee conjured up demons or angels, okay, with his black magic. The beings that he conjured up, there were pictures drawn of them, and they look identical to what we call gray aliens. Okay, I tell you something? And then I visit with debriefing people that came out of high levels of the Illuminati, and these different types of aliens are participating in Illuminati rituals.
All right, guys, just listen up here. This guy says the Old Testament, written in Hebrew, taught him how to summon UFOs. All right, he says he can also do this on command, and he adds he's been doing it for 25 years, keeping all of it secret until now.
These beings are here. They are here. They're just sitting right up there.
We met up with Prophet Yahweh, seer of Yahweh, at Doolittle Park off Lake Mead. We picked the day, we picked the time, and we picked the location. When the prophet started praying for a sighting, I wasn't exactly convinced.
I pray, oh Yahweh, that you send a sighting so that they know that I am not mentally ill. I am not a false prophet, like those who seek to kill me say I am.
I think something straight up.
Oh, brother, look at it. There it is.
You can barely see it, a white speck. Then another sighting.
There it is. I got it.
Photojournalist Jonathan Hawkins locks in on it. Let's take a closer look here. It's an orange sphere that appeared out of nowhere. I call the boss with an unexpected change in my story.
Question, can you tell us about UFOs?
My sister, before my wife came around, used to be leader of the state of Ohio, the high priestess there, of the whole state. And her little pastime was calling up, supposedly filling the sky with UFOs and watching everybody's excitement. And some of the most outstanding sightings were in the early 70s in Ohio. And she used to laugh about it because she'd be standing in a circle out in the field somewhere calling up demons. And that's all they were angels of light playing games in the sky. Remember, a demon, get the little spooky picture. There are a fallen angel, an unclean spirit. They can assume any form or go into anything.
The deeper side to this phenomenon are the abduction accounts recorded by millions of people all over the world, regardless of time, race, culture, and upbringing. Dr. John Mack, professor at Harvard Medical School, a psychiatrist and writer, also looked into the UFO and abduction phenomenon for several decades and came to similar conclusions as Vallée and Hynek. Although
seems to be the case is they come from some other domain, some place, maybe not another star or maybe from another dimension, but they manifest, they show up here in our physical world. What's going on here is something in some ways more subtle. In other words, something that's coming from another dimension into our world, which is very commonly experienced in other cultures, but not in this culture.
there is another angle to this phenomenon that is seldom discussed, but is very important to point out. That is the solution to help stop those who experience the alien abduction phenomenon. Joe Jordan, state-sanctioned director and field investigator for MUFON, through his investigation at CE4 Research Group, has discovered that calling upon the name of Jesus Christ during the abduction can make the experience stop instantly.
The terms alien abduction or the abduction phenomenon describe subjectively real memories of being taken secretly and or against one's will by apparently non-human entities and subjected to complex physical and psychological procedures. What I'm going to share with you today is some of the most powerful evidence in the UFO community about what this experience is about and the entities behind it. We've shared this over the years, and we always get a lot of flack from what I'm about to share. MUFON's the largest grassroots scientific-based organization in the world today. There's over 5,000 members of investigators, consultants. You know, we have a lot of tools at our fingertips as MUFON investigators to be able to follow up on reports and do the investigations. And looking at the people coming to our meetings, we were hearing stories from people who were saying they were abductees or contactees. And we started listening to them, and they were saying that they had been in contact with these entities that are behind the UFO sightings. And I want to give you a little idea of what the abduction experience is about. And one of the best examples of this was written by the late Dr. Carla Turner, who was actually an experiencer herself. And she put together a really good piece to take you through and show you exactly what these experiencers go through. If abduction reports can be believed, and there is no reason to doubt the honesty of the reporters, the abduction phenomenon includes the following details. Aliens can alter our perception of our surroundings. Aliens can control what we think we see. They can appear to us in any number of guises and shapes. Aliens can take us, our consciousness, out of our physical bodies, disable our control of our bodies, install one of their own entities, and use our bodies as vehicles for their own activities before returning our consciousness to our bodies. Aliens can be present with us in an invisible state and can make themselves only partially visible. Another thing that these people get in their messages through the communication from these entities through the experience, they say they are the ones who have created us by using DNA. They will guide us in our next evolutionary step. Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Muhammad, and other religious leaders were really them. That the earth is actually a living organism. They teach that the earth will be destroyed if they cannot change mankind. They teach that they are more advanced both technologically and spiritually. They teach that they are corporeal beings and that they reside in other star systems. They teach that they are our benefactors. My website, ce4research.com, I've got over 75 of the testimonies up on there as evidence for you, free to go see and read what these people have been through. Read that they have been set free by the name and authority of Jesus Christ from this experience.